Hello, welcome to Wednesday, the day of Wednesdays. Now, I was kind of, I was writing some stuff today. Um, I was just writing down some thoughts about kind of the history of my life in a way. I want to document a thing. I'll just read whatever when I shared this thought with a chat. I'm writing a journal entry of sorts, documenting part of my life, and having it all written down in front of me is just kind of crazy. Do you ever just take a moment to look back at your life and realize that you've got an extremely complex history? Like, this is just a single aspect of my life that doesn't even take into account all of the millions of other things that have led up to this very moment in time. It's a lot presenting years of my life in just a few sentences. Hundreds of thousands of emotions and memories rushing through my mind that can't possibly be explained in any conceivable way, and yet somehow I squeezed it all into a few words. Um, so I was just writing about some stuff that we'll talk about in the future maybe. But I was writing it down, and it was kind of weird just realizing the major plot point in this story jumps around quite a bit. But, at one point we went from 2021 to 2022. And that's a whole year, which may seem small in the grand scheme of things, but that year, I filmed 365 of these videos, one per day. So much happened over the course of that year. And it's just like, all of these things, I'm telling this one story in a cohesive way. Like, I wrote like 2,500 words in this little write up. But it was also a thing of, while this one story was going on, there's this other story. I talked about. I think I made a blog post called On the Topic of Love. And, I went into details about, how I consider there to be two types of love. There's being in love with somebody and loving somebody. The platonic versus, like, romantic connotation. And there's a whole kind of thing about that I associate with, right? I can, it's a whole thing, but it's just, I've dealt with all of these things over the course of my life, dealing with these problems and these small little things. And then on a completely other side, there's this story that's hasn't been told yet that's also has these little things. And these are two completely separate stories, but they're happening concurrently. And that really makes me just kind of love it. I talk about the human condition a lot, what it means to be a person, what it means to be a human, what it means to be alive, what it means to connect with people, and what makes being you unique. And everybody has these very unique stories, these little twists and turns that take their lives in all kinds and sorts of directions that is really unique and really incredible. But it's also a thing of, I can tell this one story and you can get this whole picture of me. But I can tell you this other story that happened at the exact same time that paints an incredibly different picture. But they both happened at the same time, and it's two halves that unite to make it one complete whole, to give you this rich and complex character that I am. I'm that person that these stories made up. And that's just crazy. To quote a silly little meme that I've been sharing around with friends, your lore is so complex. 'Cause damn. I. It's weird to just see how these things line up, like how meeting one person has caused my life to change in a drastically different way and how they've affected me. But in two different aspects of my life, like, oh, they showed me this thing. And now here is that band on my shelf. But also, it's like, oh, they introduced me to this type of food, and now I'm really into this food or something like that. It can be small things, or it can be life changing things, and that's crazy. It's insane, but it's very amazing. Again, it's one of the things that makes everybody unique and everybody special, where they have these rich, complex histories that is just so fun to explore. You know, writing down this little thing of in such a way that paints a vivid, beautiful picture of my life. It's cool, and I'm glad to have actually done that. I might have to make more little write-ups of just these little stories that are span my entire life, but it's also a thing of here's one side of the picture, here's the other side, and here's a third, and a fourth, and a fifth, and so on and so forth, until you get to see why somebody, or even myself, is such a deep and varied and complex and strange and wonderful and twisted and unique individual. It's crazy. It's wonderful, and it makes me uniquely human. With that said, that's what I'm going to call it here for today. Oof, what a journey I've been on tonight, and that journey is going to continue. Thank you all for watching. I hope to see you tomorrow. And until then, later.